All right, Brandon Odoi, footballhotbed.com. Listen, man, it's a hotbed world. I am literally just driving out of the campus of Florida Atlantic University. Lane Kiffin's first football game as the head coach at Florida Atlantic. And boy, we got our money's worth tonight. 5 hours and 44 minutes to be exact. 3 weather delays because of lightning. I mean, this thing was a marathon. Typically, I try to get the games 2 hours before, especially big nationally televised contests. I got in my seat right before kickoff, right before the anthem was played. I'm thankful to God that I was running late tonight because this one was an absolute marathon. It was a nightmare game in the sense of 3 weather delays, and it was a nightmare game for FAU, who just was completely outclassed all night tonight. They had no answer for the triple option attack for Navy. The funny thing is, FAU actually looked awesome on defense throughout the first quarter, and then all of a sudden, I think Navy just kind of got into a groove. Zach Abey, the junior from Maryland, he just absolutely went bananas, and he rattled off over 200 yards rushing, 100 yards passing. He had one of the biggest nights in Navy football history, and the stage was set for him to kind of steal the shine of Lane Kiffin. Kiffin afterwards, he played down, his first game in Boca Raton. He played it down, the fact that, he was going to be the head coach tonight, coach of a team back in the driver's seat, as a head coach. He played that down, but he knows it's a big night. It was a big night. People were looking to see what happened. But he kind of hedged his bets, and he talked to the media afterwards. He said, listen, we weren't going to let this game define us. And what he means by that is, when you play a team like Navy, triple option, there are really only 2 or 3 teams that run it in all of Division I, and they're one of them. And, unless you've got them in their conference, a team like Georgia Tech, like if you're in the ACC, you're only going to see a team like Navy maybe once, maybe twice in your football career. So he said win or lose, the game was not going to define his team, and that's a smart football coach. But he definitely agreed that they didn't play very well, and reality is they didn't. There were a few bright spots. Daniel Parr, the Dwyer product, the Palm Beach kid, he played very well. And for a Palm Beach kid to play well at FAU, that's kind of what you want. He looked the part tonight at quarterback, kind of miscued on a couple of throws, although his receivers, admitted that they had some mistakes of their own. So you kind of saw some things from Daniel Parr tonight. He didn't play great, as the coach confirmed after the game, but he also didn't play awful. He took care of the football, made some plays with his arm, and that's what he's going to be asked to do. And he's a guy that earned the job. So he earned the job in camp, and he was the most reliable on calls, situations, schemes. DeAndre Johnson, Last Chance U, the JUCO product out of East Mississippi via Florida State, he did play tonight, although he did not get into the game until the third quarter. And when he got in, boy, you could tell he is a very dynamic runner with the football in his hands, and it opened up the running game. He finished just shy of the team lead. I think he had 30 yards rushing total on the night, and that just gives you an idea of offensively just how unbalanced FAU was. And Navy was just a team that they were able to run and throw all night long, and it's one of those situations where FAU still has to establish themselves under Coach Kiffin. They still have to try to find their identity, still have to try to figure out who they are as a football team. This is a team where you've got a lot of guys coming from a lot of different directions. You got guys coming from JUCO, you've got graduate transfer guys, you've got guys that have redshirted, guys that haven't really played, like Parr. He's been in the program for a while, hasn't really played. Kiffin and his staff came in, they said they're going to wipe the slate clean, allow guys to compete and earn spots. He's a product of that. He's proof of that. And to be honest, the product of offense that they're going to run, this Briles offense, it's a nice and exciting style of offense in the sense of, hey, listen, you have a situation where you're running the football, you're passing the football, you're doing everything at a high speed, at a high level. And just based on the limited positive things that we saw, because we did see some positive things, it's tough to take away a lot of positives in a 42-19 loss. But you can see that this team has some talent. You can see that this team has some athleticism. And, this ground attack, this sort of high-speed attack that they're going to put together on the offensive side of the football, I think it's going to do better and play well in Conference USA. Coach talked about how his team was one of the worst performing defenses in the country last year, and Navy was one of the best offenses. So you come back just a year later, and it's hard basically to turn everything around, and it definitely wasn't turned around tonight. It'll definitely be a project, but I think the Kiffin project, the jury's still going to be out on this, and so we'll see how they look. If they look markedly better when they go on the road to take on a number 9 ranked Wisconsin Badger team, and see that's a team tonight that won big over Utah State. And just with this extended hour game, it's going to be interesting to see how the Owls recover from this. But they've got to recover, and they've got to do it quickly, because now you've got a top 10 opponent on the road in a Big Ten stadium in front of thousands of people. And you got to be ready to play, because otherwise you're going to have another long night at the office. Some positives were the kicker, Joseph. He had an all-time leading field goal kick. He had 2 really solid kicks tonight. He was really solid all night long. And so he's a guy that he proved himself reliable tonight. And so with Gene Joseph, kudos are to him, for the role that he played tonight, more specifically with converting the field goals that he was able to convert. DeAndre Johnson, a guy I was personally very intrigued to see, followed his story, saw him in camp as a high school player, followed his story on Last Chance U, was disappointed in some of the things that happened to him at FSU and the decisions that he made. He did come out in his Division I debut. He looked solid running the football. He really looked fluid. Passing-wise, he made some mistakes. He threw an interception late in the game, and Coach explained that was because of the timing. When you're out for extended periods of time, and that's what he has been. He's been out. He's been out for the count as far as, being in practice, not able to go because of injuries. And it slows up your timing, especially with the pass. And Kiffin's an experienced offensive coach, and so you have to trust him when he says that. And he was proven absolutely correct based on the fact that, a clear downfield pass, DeAndre Johnson should have been able to hit his receiver, and the pass was intercepted because it was underthrown. So, it's one of those situations where, FAU's got to quickly regroup, can't get too high with the highs, can't get too, in this case, too low with the lows. And now I got to try to figure out what kind of team they're going to be under Lane Kiffin. I thought he was pretty poised tonight talking to the media. He had a lot of perspective. For all the hype coming in, ESPN was there tonight. The AP was there tonight. There were probably more people in the press box at the end of the game than were in the stadium after 5 hours and 44 minutes, almost 6 hours. The game started at 8:03. It ended at 1:47 a.m. It's currently 2:57 a.m., almost 3 a.m. Thank God I don't live too far from the stadium. But I'll sign off by saying this. This is going to be a team where they're going to have to emerge. Some playmakers are going to have to emerge, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to have to score points in this Conference USA. The defense, I think, will get the job done. Navy is a unique team. The defense is physical. They look like they want to play. They look like they want to tackle. I was particularly impressed with Hosea and the walk-on number 54, a kid I've known since he was about 5 in the 5th grade, coming out of the Northside Optimist here in Miami, Florida. He walked onto this team, and he started tonight. And I salute him and his commitment to continuing his football career, because, this is a guy who, he had D1 offers. and he chose to, stay local at FAU and walk on. And he's going through some trial, tribulation, and trouble in his own life. But he turned it around tonight. He had a pretty decent performance for a walk-on first-year kid, and I salute and tip my cap to him. But your final score, 42-19. FAU falls to Navy. Navy looks the real part. Zach Abe's the real deal. I want to say he's a dark horse Heisman candidate. That I'm just going to go ahead and institute him in that. If he can have pretty solid games throughout the remainder of this season and kind of rack up some points, he'll get a few opportunities for some national exposure. And man, I'll tell you, he's tough, he's physical, and he's fast. Signing off somewhere on the turnpike headed south, Brandon Odoi, football hotbed. It is a hotbed world.